Minnesota. She sits on the Judiciary Committee. Senator, thanks for joining us on such a bizarre night. I appreciate you making time.
Of course, Rachel. I thought this would be a nice holiday interview with my tree, and here we are. And I just, hearing these stories, it is literally you to the FBI, screw you to all these line prosecutors. These are the hardest cases to make against sitting congressmen. They did this. They put them away for good reason. And all of these cases, they're so disparate, right? They don't really have an organizing principle. But what they have in common is what Mike Schmidt pointed out earlier in your show, and that is that 88% of these pardons are somehow related to Donald Trump or his political goals. And it is corruption through and through.
One of the things that strikes me tonight, especially with the pardons for people related to the Russia investigation, is that these were people, there was a real effort by Russia as a hostile adversarial power to try to intervene in the election to help Trump and to hurt Hillary Clinton. These are people who lied about their contacts with people who were connected to that Russian effort. And we have seen that also happened in his previous pardon for Mike Flynn and his commutation of the sentence for Roger Stone. We all expect, I think, that Paul Manafort at some point will get sprung from prison for with a Trump pardon in hand as well. And we saw Republican senators in the impeachment proceedings say that the president shouldn't be held accountable for his role trying to instigate foreign interference from Ukraine for the 2020 election. It does feel like one of the legacies of the Trump presidency is going to be that other countries feel like wading into our elections and messing with our politics and our election processes is something that even their henchmen won't have to pay for.
And that's what's unbelievable about this. As we sit here today, knowing that the Secretary of State has been very clear that Russia engaged in a major, major hack of our country just now. And he is literally sending the message, this president, by pardoning these people that were involved, and of course, dozens of people were indicted in that Russian investigation involving our election. He's sending the message, go at it. Now, hope is on the way in that we have a new president, and that's part of why our existing president is acting this way. But it really concerns me in terms of the message this sends to the Justice Department and what's happening. And so Joe Biden, one of his big jobs is going to have to rebuild the morale of that department and rebuild the trust. But at the meantime, as you have pointed out, we have days and days to go of this. It just cries out for whatever reform we can make in the future, but also to hold this Republican Party accountable if they continue to allow him to do this.
Senator, let me also ask you about the other breaking news story that we are following tonight, which is that the president is threatening to veto the COVID relief bill. It took 9 months to get this bill for all of its shortcomings and all of its failures. It's the only help the American people have had against the devastation of COVID for 9 months. And now he's saying that he's going to veto it. There is some nuance to it with him saying that he wants a larger size payment to the American people, which is something that Democrats argued for at every step of the process. And now House Democrats say, okay, well, if that's what he wants, we'll provide him with that. I wonder just what you make of this very last minute scramble of what we thought was going to proceed here with this relief bill.
I kept thinking tonight, well, these pardons are an attack on our very democracy. This is an attack on every American. People who are struggling to get by right now, out of work, whose the unemployment is going to basically end the day after Christmas if this doesn't pass. People who are out of work, people who need the help. The vaccine distribution, Rachel, is in this $30 billion. These vaccines are not going to just parachute into a small town in the middle of Minnesota. We need the help for the states to get the vaccines out. And he is literally undermining our entire effort on testing and vaccine distribution. This was a hard-fought negotiation. Of course, you're right. Democrats were pushing for more funds for the individual payments. But in the end, this was a negotiation. And he knows very well we're reaching the end here with the unemployment, with our small businesses can't take it anymore. One Yelp study early in the year showed we were having 800 small businesses close a day. And there's over $300 billion to help small businesses in this bill. It is the second biggest stimulus in the history of America. And for him to turn this down, obviously we have the votes to override his veto in the houses. We have those votes. But he should not be doing this right now when his own Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, was involved in the negotiations from beginning to end. He is literally trying to burn this country down on his way out, as I said at the beginning. And all we can do is push and make it very clear as we go into these Senate races in Georgia, Rachel, which party has people's back and which party is in the White House.
Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota sits on the Judiciary Committee. Thanks for being here tonight. Even though this was a hurly-burly night of news, it's still very nice to see your tree.
It's good to see you, and I'm so glad that Susan's doing better. So,
thank you, and same to you about John. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right, take care. We've got much more.